Hi dancers, I'm Greer, the Pointe shoe specialist here at Discount Dance, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a subject that I talk to a lot of young dancers about, which is how to know when you're ready for pointe shoes. So there are some general guidelines that you can follow. Of course, there are exceptions to most of these things, but just kind of as hard and fast rules, I'm going to go through my recommendations for you to establish if you're ready to be on pointe. Number one, if you are a young dancer starting pointe, so this doesn't go for adults who are getting into pointe, but if you're a young dancer starting pointe, typically between the ages of 10 and 12 is when dancers start going on pointe. I certainly don't recommend dancers going on pointe any younger than 10. You really want to get to the point where your feet are pretty close to being done developing. Of course, you're still growing between the ages of 10 and 12, but when you start really tiny, it can cause some issues later on. So typically between the ages of 10 and 12 for a young dancer are a good kind of place to start and establish that you're ready to dip your toe into pointe work. Number two, you've had enough ballet training to have a proper basis of technique. So even if you're in the proper age range and you haven't had a long amount of ballet, I probably wouldn't recommend that you just jump into pointe after, a couple months or even a year or so of ballet. It's really helpful and important that you have a good basis of ballet technique before you put on pointe shoes, because it just kind of takes things to another level. And if you haven't established your proper technique beforehand, it can really make pointe work more difficult than it needs to be. Okay, number three, this is a really good test to see if your ankle strength is up to par for pointe. And that's if you can hold a releve on just without pointe shoes on, just in flat shoes. Hold a releve in first position for 30 seconds without being shaky. And if your ankles are kind of wobbling back and forth and you're shaky in that position, I'd probably recommend that you do some ankle strengthening exercises, work with a TheraBand, work more at the bar just to get your ankle strength up to par, because ankle strength is really important when you're doing pointe. And if you can't hold a releve in first position for 30 seconds without it being super shaky, I'd probably suggest that you take a step back and develop that strength before you pursue pointe work. All right, number four, you are committed enough to ballet to build your strength and confidence. Because even if you're an amazing ballet dancer and you start doing pointe and you're new to it, just like anything else, there's a learning curve. And it's not the most natural thing in the world to be dancing on your toes. So just give yourself enough time to really establish how it feels to work in pointe shoes, and just kind of commit that time that you're not going to just throw in the towel when it gets hard, because it's probably going to get hard really quickly. So if you really want to commit to your pointe work, I recommend, just really taking a look and establishing that you're ready to give it, at least a good chunk of time to get used to the process, because it's a really unique feeling and it's a really different way of dancing. So just establish that you can work towards that and be confident that you will get better, because no one is really great the first time they put pointe shoes on. Last and most importantly is that your teacher signs off. So your teacher knows you as a dancer better than anyone, better than I know you when you come in for a fitting. So the number one thing I ask young dancers when they come in and it's their first pair of shoes, I say, okay, did your teacher sign off that you're ready to go on pointe? Because if your teacher didn't sign off, they probably don't think you're ready. They probably don't think that the strength is there, or maybe the confidence isn't there, or they're waiting to see something in you to give you that green light to go onto pointe. So that one is by far the most important, is that your teacher says you're ready to go. So dancers, I know that it can be a really exciting time in life to start pointe, and I'm excited for all of you to start this journey, and thanks for watching.